What's up guys, this is Jeff from Sorta Healthy, and today we are talking all about NASM. We'll be reviewing the NASM CPT certification in all its glory, and discussing the pros and cons of the NASM program in general. The NASM Certified Personal Trainer certification has easily become one of the most popular certifications in the United States over the last decade or so. Is this certification actually better than the others? Is this certification even worth it? By the end of today's video, we should have some definitive answers to these questions. Before we get into all of that, all I ask is that you consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. This is the best way to support this channel, which is a free resource for all fitness professionals. Thank you very much for the support, everyone. I really do appreciate it. So first things first, let me give you guys a little bit of background. Before getting into the industry, I completed a 4-year degree in exercise science. At the time of this recording, I have been working as a trainer for almost 10 years now. In that time, I've been certified through ACSM as an exercise physiologist. Over the years, I have hired and worked alongside many NASM certified personal trainers. My wife and co-owner of my studio, Alexis, has been certified through NASM for 3 or so years now. I've been exposed to the entire NASM world on a very regular basis for my entire career as a trainer. That being said, I never completed a NASM certification myself because I already had that degree in exercise science and was already certified through ACSM as an exercise physiologist. That is, I never completed that NASM certification until last week. Over the past month or so, I have fully immersed myself into everything NASM. In some ways, I was happy with the product, and in other ways, I was a little bit disappointed with the whole NASM experience. Before moving any further, I want to make it clear that everything in this video is just my opinion, and I'm just a guy with a cool dog. So yeah, don't base everything off my thoughts. Moving on with the rest of the video now. So let's break down what I liked and didn't like about NASM, and we're going to start off with something that I thought they did a pretty good job with. They did a good job explaining exercise science, anatomy, the human body, and pretty much all the other background stuff that you should know as a trainer. Pretty much all of the beginning chapters in the NASM text break down how the human body works. NASM, for the most part, I think is able to do this in relatively simple ways. And to their credit, they also do a pretty good job of keeping it all relevant to personal training. They don't make you memorize every muscle or bone in the body, but they do strongly recommend that you have a general idea of what every major muscle does. They don't test you on every detail about energy systems within the human body, but NASM will help you achieve a general understanding of all the different ways in which your body can generate ATP. I could go on and on here, but I think you guys all get what I'm saying. NASM does a great job of teaching you the basic background information, but they don't go overboard or get too advanced. As someone who has learned this stuff several times now, I can tell you that the NASM course was a great refresher for me. Unfortunately, you do forget a lot of this stuff, even though it is definitely good to know. That being said, if you're new to exercise science and personal training, the NASM certification is a great way for you to get your feet wet and get that foundational knowledge before starting in the field. So now we're going to be talking about something that I don't like, and let me be clear here, I don't hate it. It could be better, and it's a little bit perplexing as to why it isn't. I am talking about the OPT model. Again, it's okay, it's not terrible, but it's not great. Let me tell you why I think that. There are 5 phases in the OPT model. The first phase is stabilization endurance. The second phase is strength endurance. The third phase is hypertrophy. The fourth phase is max strength. And the final is power. Now, in theory, I actually like all of NASM's phases a lot. In actual practice, I do think 4 out of 5 of NASM's phases are pretty good. They make sense. And that last one is kind of stupid. Let's start with the stupid one, and the stupid one is the first one. I'm just gonna get this out of the way and say it, guys. NASM is obsessed with stability balls, BOSU balls, balance pads, and a bunch of other weird things that make it a bit harder to balance. Hey guys, look, I'm doing a NASM. Oh shit. That was a joke, by the way. While I do see a ton of value in implementing these balance tools, devoting an entire phase to their use, or even most of a phase, to me is a little bit silly. I understand that standing on top of one leg or on top of a wobble board can be beneficial, but I 100% do not think that things like this should represent a large portion of the foundation of your program. Your first phase should be about teaching foundational movements that they'll be using in their program going forward with you, and also throughout their entire lives as well. Things like squatting, deadlifting, pushing, pulling, etc. These things should be front and center and taught early. If you want to throw in some balance and proprioception exercises in addition to those things, that's great. But in NASM, those foundational movements that I just shared with you, not only are they not front and center, oftentimes they're nowhere to be seen at all. Going through the certification, I was told about a ton of different instances where I should have my client stand on one leg or balance on top of something. But I don't know if at any point in time they actually taught me how to teach my clients a squat, something that I will literally be doing every single day for the rest of my career. I don't know, guys, maybe that squat cueing was in there somewhere, But if it was a footnote, where this progression was literally everywhere, including all over the test itself. The rest of the phases are fine for the most part. I would change things here or there, but they do make sense. For everyone watching this video, do you use the OPT model? If so, how has it worked for you so far? Make sure to let me know down in the comments, guys. I am genuinely curious. The next thing that I liked about NASM was the online text, videos, and quizzes. The textbook is solid, as mentioned previously in this video. It does give lots of good information in a fairly digestible way. And having been exposed to many exercise science and fitness-based textbooks over the years, I can definitely say that this is one of the better ones. There are video summaries that go along with every chapter in this textbook, and I would show you guys some footage, but I'm pretty sure NASM would not like that very much. And they're pretty good. They're not on the same level as something like Precision Nutrition or something like that. I do think the videos actually provide a pretty easy way to understand some of the more complicated topics discussed. I think the trainers they hired to do these videos also do a pretty good job. These videos aren't exactly fun or entertaining, unlike the Precision Nutrition ones. Again, their videos were on another level, but no doubt about it, they are useful. The quizzes at the end of every chapter were definitely good to have. I do feel like NASM probably could have included more here though. Still, the quizzes are useful, make sure that you do them. NASM seems to use similar questions on the test itself. The next thing that I didn't like about NASM is that some of their recommendations just didn't seem very practical or realistic to use in actual personal training sessions. What I mentioned before in regards to their phasing and even their exercise selection, that stuff would definitely fit in here too, but I think this does extend beyond that as well. Other than my previous examples of impracticality within NASM's recommendations, another pretty glaring one is their recommendations for warm-ups and cool-downs. So NASM's warm-up and cool-down phases do look a little something like this. And this isn't exactly what they recommend, but it is pretty damn similar. They typically recommend that you start off with SMR, or self-myofascial release, which foam rolling would be an example of that. And it seems like they generally recommend doing SMR on the main muscles being used in the workout, which obviously that is not bad advice. In all of their examples, they actually use 4 different muscles. That being said, I never saw anywhere in the text where they said that you should limit this to 4 different muscles. Anyway, each muscle group that you're doing self-myofascial release on, you're gonna do 30 seconds on that muscle. Another component they recommend in each phase is stretching, and they recommend different types of stretching depending on what phase you're in. And in some of these phases, you'll be holding stretches for about 30 seconds. Cardio is another component of these warm-ups and cool-downs, and they recommend that your client does cardio on treadmills, bikes, etc. This is another 5 to 10 minutes before and after your workout. In total, you can expect this to take about 10 to 20 minutes. Obviously, this is gonna vary by client, and you could see how in some instances, this would actually take longer than 20 minutes, meaning your warm-up, cool-down, and workout would all be about the same length. So downsides to these warm-ups and cool-downs. For me, this is just way too long, and to NASM's credit, they do recommend that you change it up based on your client. But yeah, that being said, this is definitely too long, especially for a shorter session. Your client is paying you for results and efficiency, and if they feel like you're wasting their time, well, let's just say that's not a good thing. They don't necessarily promote trainer and client connection. I'll get to that more in a second. And well, yeah, to me they seem boring, and I'm sure many of your clients would probably feel the same way, unfortunately. So before I said that their warm-up and cool-down recommendations don't necessarily promote client and trainer connection, my recommendation to you guys is to keep cardio separate from your sessions. Have your clients do it before or after your sessions. Don't be that trainer standing off to the side while you're watching your client move around on the treadmill. I don't know exactly if that's what NASM is recommending, but yeah, that's not a good idea. That would definitely be viewed as a waste of time by a lot of people. So in my opinion, a better warm-up would be a few safe and controlled dynamic movements that prepare your client for the upcoming workout. I definitely also think it's a good idea to include some self-myofascial release and some static stretching when it's appropriate. And ultimately, I think you can get this done in about 3 to 8 minutes. Obviously, it depends on your client and what kind of workout that you have coming up. But if you're a new trainer, be 100% aware that every minute that you're interacting with your client, that counts. In my experience, you can't be doing anything that's wasting time. And just as importantly, you can't do anything that your client perceives as wasting time. So make sure that you're thorough in your warm-up, but don't go too crazy. And in my opinion, a better way to do a cool down would be do some core work at the end of your client's workouts. This work can still be challenging, but should be less taxing than the previous exercises. This allows you to gradually lower your client's heart rate and complete an effective routine while not sacrificing time efficiency. Once you're done with that core work, do some self-myofascial release, some static stretching, some partner stretching, anything that you feel would fit the situation best. And you should be able to get that done in about 5 to 15 minutes. There are definitely other examples of NASM's recommendations not being practical, but if I brought those up, I think it would make you think that I think that NASM certification is worse than it really is. Overall, this is a good certification. It's definitely flawed, but it is pretty good. I suspect that as I review other major certifications within this personal training bubble of ours, I'm going to find some of these same flaws that I found with NASM with those other certifications as well. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, we'll see. It certainly speaks to some issues within the industry, unfortunately. From what I've seen so far, these certifications can do a pretty good job of teaching you the necessary background information. That being said, they don't do a good job of teaching you practical skills. I don't know, maybe I should be thanking them because this gives me endless amounts of content to create. Or maybe training really is just something where the hands-on experience is just that much more valuable than anything else. It's probably all of the above, to be honest. Anyways, what else is good about NASM? Well, pretty much everything else. Their advice on nutrition, ethics, etc., it's all pretty good stuff. They also have a ton of continuing education opportunities for trainers. In some ways, I was harsh on this certification to shed some light on certain things, but all in all, you are in pretty good hands with NASM. You'll take bits and pieces of their framework and their programming, and you'll figure things out for yourself. We previously reviewed the NASM CPT course on here and we gave it an A. This review was based on my wife Alexis's experience. I'm still keeping NASM in the A range, but I think it's a low A or an A-. It's flawed in some areas, but very good in others. Most importantly though, it will get you a job. Like seriously, everyone respects the hell out of NASM. Since it's so beneficial to getting trainers out there and working in the field, it's still an A range despite the flaws. So yes, at the end of the day, it is absolutely worth it. Is it actually better than the other certifications? We'll be figuring that one out over the next few months. And that's all we have for today, everyone. Hopefully I didn't piss off everyone too badly with this review. NASM is like royalty right now in the training world. Everyone worships them. This is partially for good reason, by the way. That being said, what I do here is keep it real with you guys and tell you guys the truth, even when it's not beneficial for me to do so. So hopefully you all appreciate that. Do you guys agree with my review? Let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so because it does help the channel to grow, which does allow me to create more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sort of healthy.